Welcome back. I hope you are enjoying all these videos so far. I'm having a great time putting this stuff together. I love teaching this material. I have such a great time with my students, and I want to share with you today some concepts about strumming the guitar. This is challenging. I know, I say it all the time. I think everything's challenging. Because for me, when I was first learning the guitar, everything was challenging. I spent years, just trying to learn this material and really get it down. And then even when I went to school for music, I always felt like everything was just, so challenging. But I just kept doing it so much over and over again, and I've had a great time. Now I have a career playing and teaching guitar, and this is just great. So I want to share with you right now some strumming ideas. This is challenging because one of the aspects of playing music that requires almost all of your attention, pretty much during every situation, is your rhythm and timing. What you want to do when you're learning how to strum is just start out by taking your left hand and laying it gently on the strings to produce this sound. It's a muted sound. Yes, when we're playing our chords, that's something you want to avoid. But for now, you just want to lay down your hand just gently. If you press down, you're going to hear musical pitches that we were talking about in a previous video. So you just want to lay down the hand nice and gently so that it's touching and muting the strings. Okay, now what you want to do is get your foot involved here. Just tapping. If you can't see my foot, so I'll just kind of nod my head to what my foot's doing. And you want to start by doing groups of 4. So when you're holding the pick, by the way, this is something we haven't talked about yet, so I'll just give you a pointer here. The way I like to hold the pick is between my first finger of my right hand and my thumb. I curl the first finger like a hook, place the pick, place the pick on my finger, and then put my thumb over top of the pick and hold it just like that. These 3 fingers I usually just curl up into a fist. Sometimes I leave them out, curl it up. I don't think that much matters at first, but what does matter is that you just hold the pick between the thumb and first finger. As you're looking at a pick, almost every design is like this. You have 2 rounded sides and then 1 pointed side. The pointed side is going to be the part that attacks the strings. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to start by going down and up, back and forth, down, up, down, up, down, up. I hope you guys can see this. Let me just scoot over a little bit so you can really get my right arm involved in it. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm going to tap my foot and I'm going to go down, up, every single tap of the foot. So here's what that sounds like, or it looks like. So here's what it sounds like even slower. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I have a lot of people ask me, should I get a metronome out and work with it at this point? Usually my answer is no. Wow, shocking. But what you want to do is just get involved with moving your body. You don't need to get some sort of contraption that goes click, click, click over and over again. That's a really great tool for later on after you just get the motion down. Just get it down. So you want to tap your foot and strike the strings 4 times, alternating between down and up. Okay, so here's what that sounds like a little bit faster. Okay, so you're just going to go back and forth, and I would encourage you just to leave your left hand like this and just really make a lot of percussive noises with the strings. Okay, so what I want to reiterate, or kind of show you right now is where does the movement come from when you're strumming. you have three locations that can really drive the pick across the strings. The first one is the swinging from the elbow, and that looks like this. So I'm using the macro muscles of my arm, the bicep and the tricep, to really swing my forearm and hand back and forth. This gets the most power, obviously because I'm using the largest muscles of my arm to really go back and forth across the string. So if I want a really loud dynamic, fortissimo, then I need to use wider movements and really just get a big swing out of my arm. The second place that you can move or have, really make the most, or what am I trying to say here? Okay, the second, so you got the elbow, now the wrist. The wrist is next. So, what you want to do now is just try to focus on strumming across the strings using only your wrist. Now here's where all your speed is going to come from. See, when you use the large muscles of your arm and really get a lot of swing, you go pretty far beyond the strings when you're doing this. And it would take a lot of energy to get going fast, moving your whole entire arm and swinging from the elbow. So if you're trying to play a really fast, funky guitar with a really quick strumming, then you want to use your wrist. So what I was doing there was just demonstrating a lot of wrist movement. Is the elbow involved still? Of course, everything's attached, so it's still going to move a little bit, but I'm focusing in mentally on trying to make the movement come from majority of it from the wrist. Okay, so you can do wide strumming from the elbow, and this gets a really loud, aggressive sound. You can do fast strumming from the wrist, and it also produces a very low dynamic. You can also do strumming just with your thumb and fingers. Now, this produces a very, very low dynamic. It also doesn't involve, you can't really get going fast. Personally, I can't get going fast with this. It's about the same speed as my swinging my whole arm. See, when I use my wrist, I can get going much faster. It's just the anatomy of the hand and the arm. So you can use just your fingers to go up and down like this too. Okay, so what you want to focus in on, just to recap, is just tapping your foot and strumming 4 times. You want to focus in from the elbow, from the wrist, and then from the fingers. All 3 of those times, I'm tapping the foot, nodding the head, and just trying to get groups of 4 happening. Let's take a look at what that would sound like now with a chord. So I'm going to go over here and do an E chord in the open position. So now here's what all this sounds like with a chord, and first one, swinging my elbow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now wrist. And fingers. So if you notice, the dynamic range continued going down, the volume and the dynamics went down as I switched from the elbow to the wrist to the fingers. And some people point out that when I use the fingers, it almost looks like I'm still using my wrist. But it's the mind connection to the hand that is focusing in on utilizing the fingers as the primary mover of the pick instead of the wrist or the elbow. But again, everything moves because it's all attached. It's just that I'm trying to focus in on just one particular part of the arm to make that pick move across the strings. All right, good luck.